Welcome to What's Your Story? I'm your host, Sherita Williams, and today my guest is a technology investor. He's an author and he's an entrepreneur. Please help me welcome Adrian Marable to the show. Adrian, welcome.
Thank you, Sherita, and thank you for having me.
We're honored to have you. So tell our viewers a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so geez, that's a loaded question these days. So I am an author, entrepreneur. I have my own company. The name of my company is Group Work. We help companies through um, education and technology. We not only provide customized training for organizations and small businesses, but we provide agile training. So to date, we're authorized to train in 13 different agile certifications, which helps a lot of businesses. And then from a customer training standpoint, we have anything from how to build your business canvas to how to create a technology plan for your business. And then on the technology side, we build websites, learning management systems, CRMs for our clients. And then, of course, I'm an angel investor, invest solely in technology companies, which I'm soon to have a third under my umbrella, which is great. Excited about that. And then earlier this year, I published my book, After the Pitch, which I'm super proud of. And, shameless plug, you can buy it on Amazon, Barnes Nobles, Target, anywhere that you buy books, basically, you can buy this book. So that's
So
my
for
elevator
our, for
pitch.
our viewers who do not know, what is an angel investor?
An angel investor is a person who invests their own money into your startup business or your growing business. A lot of companies, they just can't get over that hump to get started or can't get over the hump to grow their business. And that's where an angel investor comes in.
Okay, very interesting. So if I'm a first time investor, what kind of advice would you give me?
If you're a first time investor, the first thing I would say is, know who you are as an investor. Know what your skills are, know what kind of companies you want to invest in, because that's going to be critical into, first getting started as becoming an angel investor, right? And then, you know what you need. A lot of folks, they have 401ks and they have Roth IRAs. They all want a return, right? Of course you want a return, but what do you want to get out of working with another business? And one thing about becoming an investor, you know, it's a big deal. I mean, like, you're spending your money, and think of, this being a numbers game. 1 in 5 businesses fail within the first 2 years. So you don't want to, put all your eggs in one basket, per se. So my suggestion would be, make a wise decision. The excitement of that first pitch will likely make you make a bad decision because essentially you're so excited to, hear that pitch. You want to immediately invest in what's considered a good company, but you need to make sure you do your research.
Excellent. So since I'm a first time investor, how much money would I have to if I'm coming in your firm, how much money would I have to invest to get you to represent me?
So it varies on the deal. So my company is called BK. I'm part of it. We have a group of investors who invest together. So investments can be anywhere between $3,000 to $5,000 per person and up, depending on the investment. We invest anywhere between $20,000 and $75,000. For a startup company, most of them are in the early idea stage, or they just started gaining some traction where they're getting to their first client.
So I know as an investor, a lot of companies, they fail. What kind of failure do you see from just the people you represent from businesses?
Well, I see businesses fail in basically 2 different areas. First, in the money side, the finances, that's always the big thing. Not only the the finances, but the lack of customer discovery. But I'll hit on the finances first. So not that you have to have a degree or, be a financial guru, but you have to know your financials as a startup, right? And many people don't have the upfront capital to pay someone to manage their finances. But even if they did, they still need to know the basics of managing their finances. First time entrepreneurs are good at being so excited about their businesses. They want to buy the newest things and buy the newest products and laptops and all of these things, but they never focus on the plan to grow their business financially. So that's where I see a lot of those companies, that 1 in 5 companies in the 2 years. That's where I see where they fail a lot, because they spend so much money up front that they don't put the money towards the planning and the marketing and all the other stuff. From a customer's discovery standpoint, a lot of entrepreneurs who come to me and they pitch, when I ask them, what is your target market? They'll say, everybody's my target market. I'll sell to anybody and everybody, but that's not really the way to look at it. You want to know a specific type of customer that you can work with, and who's interested in your product. Because what happens is you develop this great product, you put a lot of money into it, and then you realize once you get out there and start, selling or trying to sell it, the customer really doesn't want it. They don't want exactly what you built, or it's not in demand at the current time. So timing is a big key, and understanding that customer is even bigger.
So back in when 9/11 first hit, 20 years ago, we're talking about my 401k, so I have to do it from a personal stance since I have no one else to compare to. I lost a lot of money. And of course I panicked, I'm on the phone, I'm calling, I'm like, I get my first statement after this happened. I'm panicking. I want my money that I have left, take it out. But the guy convinced me not to take it out and, kind of like ride the wave. So this time with the pandemic, something similar happened, but I made money. So what is the difference in the contrast? Because both of them were horrific tragedies, but what was the difference in that?
So it's very similar to what I was saying earlier about diversifying your portfolio. Don't stick to just one deal. And that's what your 401k does for you. If you ever look into your 401k and the details, you're invested in tons of things. It's a list of things, right? You may be invested into real estate, which real estate went up. So that might have been why your 401k went up. But in the previous market, real estate went down, right?
Okay.
So that might be what caused the panic for you. But there's so many different pieces to a 401k, and that diversification allows you to make those changes, because you can actually go into your 401k and make changes to things that may be semi-recession proof. Some people invest in gold and then they invest in housing, and it kind of balances each other out when it comes to recessions and things of that sort. So, that's kind of why you should stick, with your investment when it goes down, because essentially at the end of the day, what's going to happen, it's going to come back up. It's going to, get into a steady state. And if you take your money out too early, you're going to lose a lot more than you expect.
So I don't know if the terminology is correct, but what's the difference between like a secure investment and an unsecure, meaning high risk investing?
So, a secure investment has some guarantees. So you're not going to lose all of your money. That's the simple way of putting it. An unsecure investment would be something similar to investing in a startup. They may guarantee to give you your money back, but if they go out of business, they're not really liable to you. Once again, they're risky investments, but usually if they succeed, it's a higher return there.
Okay. So what are some tips that you would give to entrepreneurs who's looking for business funding?
So similar to what I would give investors, know who you are, know what you want as a startup entrepreneur. Know how much money you need. Um, going into an investment world with no plan it's a disaster for success. I mean, everyone, knows famous Amos cookies, right? Famous Amos, I think his name was Wally Amos. He received so much funding that he lost ownership of his company and the company ended up going bankrupt. But now he's making muffins, but he's still doing well. But essentially, um, you know, think about what the plan is. What do you want your investor to do for you? Because not all investors are made equal. Some will only provide you with money. Some will provide you with money and connections, while others may provide you with money, connections, and coaching, and maybe even, put in some grunt work, some sweat equity into the business. And consider that the more you ask, of an investor, the more equity or the percentage of ownership or return they're going to want from you.
Okay, that sounds good. So we know that you're an author, and tell us about your bestseller, the book.
Yes. So my bestseller is After the Pitch. It is great for anyone who's starting a new business. If you're looking for funding or not, Distill is a great book to consider reading because it's broken up into two parts. The first half of it is really about the funding piece. What happens after your 3 minute, 5 minute, 7 minute, maybe even 10-minute pitch to an investor? It tells some stories. I've met with a lot of investors on this amazing and crazy journey that I've been on for this book, and they gave me a lot of tips, some things that they've done wrong in their own careers as investors, things that they didn't expect that would happen. I've even interviewed an athlete who ended up becoming an investor, and I mean it's just so many great stories I think in the first half of this book, including mine. I'm an entrepreneur and I'm an investor, so I get the great parts of being on both sides of the table. And then finally,
Adrian,
yes.
Adrian, we're gonna have to take a short break,
All right.
and we'll be right back, and we'll talk more about your book in just a few minutes.
Sounds good.
Always been my mission to help people with their health. Organs are some of the most nutrient-dense superfoods on the planet, and yet we're not getting them in our diet. My name is James Berry. I've been a chef for over 16 years. I came up with this new product. It's called Pluck. It's an organ-based all-purpose seasoning. In Pluck, you don't need to know how to cook. Just simply either make a food how you would and finish it with Pluck. You can add it to the recipe while you're making it. You can finish it with Pluck. You can simply just season your meal with Pluck. By being a shelf-stable spice, can be added to any food: popcorn, rice, salad, chicken, fish, eggs, you name it, and you can use it with Pluck, the organ-based all-purpose seasoning that's versatile and goes with any food. Nutrition in a pinch.
We're back on What's Your Story. My guest today is Adrian Marable. He's an investor and he's written a book. Adrian, put up your book and show our viewers.
Yeah.
So the book is called After the Pitch. So we were talking on the first half. He was just sharing some things that were in his first half of his book. So Adrian, will you pick up right where we left off?
Yeah, so one of the folks I interviewed, she was an athlete and she played basketball for many years and ended up retiring and getting into investing. And I mean, she was amazing. She's just good in a room. And, she told me about this major error that she made in one of her investments. You have to read the book to to hear about the error, but an error in one of the startups that she invested in. And it was, I mean, such an eye-opener to me. I mean, as well as many of the other stories in the book. But the second half of the book is really where the meat is. If you've ever watched Shark Tank or any of those shows, it's, those questions that an investor will ask you that everyone kind of gets stuck on because, you can practice your pitch and you can get it all down, but to have those questions in your back pocket and, kind of expect what an investor would ask you, why they would ask you that, That's the second half of the book, and that's where the rubber meets the road, and that's how you secure the investment.
So when you're opening up a business and you're trying to get funding, are they want to see like your first year profit or your profit so far? What are they looking for?
Yeah, so if you're just opening up a business, it varies. It varies on what stage you are in the process. I like to see, like I said, I invest in really early stage companies. They may not have, gained revenue yet. So there's no profits to even talk about, but they may be, taking that step to get into, to start working with that first customer, right? And what I look for is a business model canvas. And that basically tells you as a investor, who that target market is, how are they going to reach that target market, how are they going to keep those folks in their pipeline, and then what are the key partnerships and revenue models and activities that are important to the business to make it succeed, and even more importantly, what is the value proposition? And I coach folks on this all the time. What makes you unique in the market that's going to make folks want to buy from you versus buying from a potential competitor?
So Adrian, what is the earliest age that you should start investing, or there's no age?
Age for the investor or the age for the business?
No, like age, like I'm looking to retire.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I'm just starting to invest. So would it have been better for me to start, 30 years ago, or because I didn't know much about investing?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's never too late. It's never too early. There are, people who have investment funds at 21, but there are also people at, 65 and 70 and, on up who are also investing in companies. And, from my experience and from interviewing a lot of folks, it is really based on what is your business maturity level, or who do you have in your pipeline who is business savvy enough to help you make a good decision? Because that goes back to your 401k or your Roth IRA. Like, you need someone by your side if you're, not as business savvy or financially savvy to, help you make that right decision for you. So you can start at any age. And like I said, it's never too late to do it.
Yeah. So do you see more or less minorities investing?
Generally, there's less. There's a lot less, actually. So the group that I'm in, all Black, investment group, we have doctors, lawyers, sales folks, risk management executives, all kinds of people within our group that, invest. But, over the years, it has gradually gotten better, which is something that we need in this market, because essentially it's very difficult for Black founders of startups to get capital in this avenue, possibly a business loan, but venture capital and angel investing, it has not been historically a world for Black people or minorities in general. So that's one of the things I'm hoping to help with this book. I'm hoping to get people excited about investing and, thinking differently about, the money that they spend, because it's very important that we have people who look like us, because they understand us. And what we know as fact is that people invest in people who look like them, more often than not.
Absolutely. And that reminds me like the Black Wall Street that was destroyed. But what I wanted to ask you was like, how can, like banks makes, say I'm with a particular branch and they make 6% and I make 1%. But if I invest, I can make the whole 7%. Is that how that works? If that's the scenario?
Yeah, well, yeah. When you invest in startups, you skip the middleman, right? But the thing is, with startup investing, it all depends on the stage that you're in. So the first company I invested in, they had just onboarded their first company, and the industry is a great industry that they're in, and I was excited about it. And it took a while for them to get that first return, because you're going to get that return from the profits that come out of the company, the excess profits, because essentially, even though they're gaining revenue as a growing business, they're putting more money back in. So sometimes it takes longer than what you would get at a bank.
Absolutely. So as group works that I see on your shirt, is that the investment that you were talking about earlier with the Afro-American investors?
No, group work is actually my education and technology company. So I just had a couple of meetings before, and I had on my group work shirt. But my investment group that I work with is called BRBK Group. So we've helped, oh gosh, I can't even think of how many companies we've helped. I invest specifically in the technologies, on the technology side, but my group has, done probably over 50 real estate deals in the last, 5 or 6 years, as well as, invested in some other businesses. So it varies for us.
So how many companies have you helped as an individual that didn't follow your plan that you laid out for them that failed?
There's been some. Oh gosh, I don't know how many, but I mean, from a training standpoint, I can tell you more of how many I've helped. So I have strategic partnerships with a couple of local organizations, the Women's Business Center of Charlotte being one of them, and the Cabarrus Center of Entrepreneurship in Concord. And I mean, I work with over 100 entrepreneurs a year. And I mean, they have succeeded. I've watched some of them win funding and pitch for funding that they never thought they could get funding for. I've seen some grow their businesses. More recently, I worked with a woman, and she had been spending so much money in technology. And just through, a 1-hour consult, she saved $5,000 a year in her business. And that's huge for a small business.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So watching these companies grow and them coming back to me has been great. It's been a great motivator for me. But on the failing side, man, I mean, from the companies that I've invested in, none. No, we haven't had any failures. Knock on wood that we don't have any anytime soon. But just from a coaching standpoint, maybe just a handful that haven't taken advice. Usually through, like I said, the partnerships that I have, these people are coming to me because they want that help. So they're willing to listen.
So if we wanted to contact you, how can we contact you for the investment part?
Yes, you can contact me via email. It's me at adrianmarable.com. That's ADRIANMARABLE.com. And just shoot me emails, tell me that you're interested. And the next time we have an investment cycle, we'll bring you in, we'll see what you're looking for before we put you in front of, a startup entrepreneur.
And that's what you say is BRK?
BRBK.
BRPK. And what does the BRPK stand for?
It's the names of the folks who founded the group.
Absolutely. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So when did this organization start?
It started in 2017, I believe, or no, 2016, if I'm not mistaken. And I met the heads of this group in 2018. So that's when I got into my first, round of investing, and it's been a journey ever since.
Absolutely. So how do you become a member of this organization?
It's really invite. It's just an invite of folks who are interested in investing, who have the excess capital. We do bring people just on a case-by-case basis for one investment versus just being in a group.
So, Adrian, where do
Yes.
you see you and what's the next step for you in your book? And let's
So
hold your book up so we can
yeah.
see it.
So once again, I have a lot going on. This might be better on this side, but I have a lot going on. Like I said, my two strategic partnerships with local organizations to help entrepreneurs and small business owners start and grow their business. With my book, I'm actually in the process of releasing a card game that has, kind of brings that Shark Tank pitch to your home. So I've just received this. This is my first prototype, and I'm going to actually use venture, going into the venture of crowdfunding to actually fund, that piece of it. Additionally, I've had, folks who've been interested in partnering with me in developing a podcast or being on the radio. Um, but yeah, I'm just really excited about the book right now. My book has, like I said, over 250 questions that angel investor or venture capitalist can ask an entrepreneur. And I wanted people to dig deeper into those questions, which is why, I created the card game. And finally, I have, two projects I'm working on with a few startup founders, and we're looking to launch those new tech companies at the beginning of 2022. But it's all exciting times for me, and it keeps me extremely busy.
It sounds like it. Now, tell us where we can purchase your book and the cards.
Yes, you can purchase the book at Barnes and Noble, Amazon. All you have to do, Target, if you would like to. All you have to do is search After the Pitch by Adrian T. Marable, and you'll easily be able to find it. The cards have not been released. Like I said, this is the first prototype, very first one. They look amazing. I've been working with the company to get those done, but we'll be actually using crowdfunding and Kickstarter to actually release these cards.
So that sounds really good, Adrian, and that's wonderful. So we want to thank you for being on the show. So we always ask our hosts, and well, as a host, we always ask our guests to leave words of wisdom with our viewers. So what would you like to leave with our viewers?
There's a lot of people who I run into who just don't know where to start. And my advice to you is start. It's easy to make mistakes early up front when you're starting your business, or if you're starting any new venture. But the big part of it is to start, because this book would never have been done, even though I talked about it for over a year, had I not just started.
Absolutely. And that's again, that's where we miss it when we don't start.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so grateful. Adrian, thank you for coming in and giving us tips. Thank you for coming in and getting the sparks out there, because people need to know how they can make more money. So yes. Adrian, give us your email one more time.
Yes, it is me, at adrianmarable.com. And you can also go to my website, adrianmarable.com.
Well, Adrian, we want to thank you for being on our show, and we want to thank our viewers, and we want to thank WYTV7 for our platform, and we want to thank you for letting your story become our story on What's Your Story. So if you're out there and you're looking to invest, hit Adrian up.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, it was our pleasure. Yes. Thank you.